Hello and welcome back to the Planet Crafter. In the last series, we took a look at the Fish and Drones update, which introduced us to the drone station, which we have built over here, and also we now have fish in our little community here, our little planet here, and we have gotten all the way to what level of fish? 0.73% of the way to amphibians, I guess. That's good, I think, because we'll have to get amphibians next. But in this series, we're going to do something different. We're going to spend some time, if I can fly, come on, fly. Get up there, go on, there we go. We're going to spend some time rebuilding this base. This base was laid out very poorly. It was laid out for the purposes of the initial game, which was more about gathering and crafting, and less for the current state of the game, which is more about automation and kind of factory building, really. Getting everything, letting everything come together as you need it to, and then bringing things around to auto-craft for you. We were basing it all on having to craft everything ourselves because that's the way the game was built originally, or the original updates, original game and its updates were. But since they've added the automation in a couple of updates ago, and then the drones in this one, the logistics in this one, it ended up being just too difficult to use the base as we have it now to keep expanding. So we're going to do some different stuff. The first thing I'd like to do is talk about the auto crafter. We talked about it briefly when the thing came out, but because of the way the base is laid out, it didn't really give me a whole lot of opportunity to build or expand the way that I would like to. So let's open this up, and I want to just kind of show you how this works a little bit. And I have a bunch of stuff in my inventory, which we'll talk about in a little while. I was kind of prepared for some stuff. The auto crafter can craft any of these things, which is pretty much everything that you can make in either the Mark 1. Actually, I don't know if there's any of these things. I guess these are there. The Mark 1, the Mark 2, or actually there might be 2 and 3. It doesn't matter. Also, anything you can make here in the lab, which we've spent a lot of time in over the last few updates, and a few other recipes too that you can make in a couple of other places. So what we're going to do is we're going to build our base around these recipes, specifically the recipes we want to actually produce. And I want to talk about a few of them specifically, but most of them we're going to actually make in some way, somehow. Things like oxygen capsules, water bottles, I don't think we're going to make those because we can get those from other sources, and why spend things like ice and cobalt on something that you can get for free? Now, of course, cobalt is basically free as well because you can mine it, but ice you cannot actually get after a certain point. So things like that. But then on the other hand, things like super alloy, we're not going to craft this automatically because we can mine it for free. So why spend the effort and time collecting those 6 items, even if it's automatic, and then crafting the super alloy when we can just mine it from the super alloy cave? However, pulsar quartz we are actually going to craft. We can get all these things via our miners, or once we upgrade them to miners tier 3, we can get all the things via miners and gas extractors, and so we won't need to, or we'll be able to craft these ad nauseum, and so we'll end up with a box full of these at some point. Food level critical. That means I need to eat something. I had food in my hand on purpose. Fabric will craft a box full or something probably. Uranium and iridium rods, I have so many of those already, but we're actually going to spend those on some things over the course of this rebuild. So we hopefully won't have as much. Definitely not as much uranium, but hopefully not as much iridium as well. And so we'll actually want to start importing that in from our miners that are out in the field. Super alloy rods, we'll have a box full of those, and then we'll stop. Osmium rods, a box full of those, and we'll stop. Rocket engines, we'll end up with a box full of those too, because of drones. We need rocket engines. So we'll end up with or maybe not make a box full of rocket engines. I don't know when I say a box full, I don't know if I literally mean a box full like this, or if I just mean having a crafter making them. one of the things I was thinking about for logistics, on one hand, is you could demand the items you need to make the thing via the logistics system here, just as you can supply things to the logistics system here. But the problem I have with that demand is the same problem I have, which I talked about in my last series, with if I have a box that, or if I have a thing that's demanding mixed items, because in order to make any of these things, for the most part, you have to mix the items. Now, maybe we could just demand silk to make the fabric. Maybe we could just demand, that's a bad example. Uranium to make the uranium rods. But anything that's a mixed recipe that takes two or more things, that's going to be a problem. Just as this over here would be a problem to request algae, bacteria, and mutagen all into one box. You'll end up with a box full of one thing and not enough room to bring in the others. So every item that needs a box will have its own box. If it doesn't need a box, then we won't worry about it. But if it's a ingredient in a multi-crafting recipe, like say fertilizer, for example, the autocrafter for fertilizer, or which there will be one, will be surrounded by 3 boxes: one for algae, one for sulfur, one for eggplant. And it will pull in via the automation system the items it needs for crafting, as opposed to having it pulling them in via the logistics system. And that's just to maintain that balance and that proper demand, where we don't have all of one thing and not enough of another. And then even worse as you get to 3 and 4 ingredients. I don't know if we need explosive powder. I don't know what this is used for, other than a couple of one-off crafts, so I don't think we're going to make explosive powder, but mutagens, the bacteria samples, all this stuff is going to get made. The common larvae, and what was the last thing that unlocked? Oh, the one tree seed that both unlocked. The common larvae, we're actually going to have an autocrafter for these, because as you can see, they're used for that, and then use the common larvae to make something. Mutagen tier 2. So we actually will auto-craft common larvae. Now, I could go gather them, but why bother? So we're going to do that. We'll have an auto-crafter for high-quality food, of course, and we will store that in a box. We will have oxygen being gathered into a box and water being gathered into a box from their respective collectors, but just for me to be able to grab. But they'll be all 3 separate boxes, as I mentioned earlier. Circuit boards will be auto-crafted as well, because those go into making drones. So anything that goes into making things like drones, food, water, any of these craftables that are used to make mutagen that we can use to research more insects, fish, and then later hopefully amphibians, although that might be another tier of mutagen. All of that stuff will be part of this part of this idea of growing these things. So that's kind of what we're going to do with autocrafters. So we're going to probably have a couple of dozen autocrafters in our base. Some of them will be based in different areas. One area will be over the big lake. The big lake is going to be used for a few different things, and although we do have more lake over here, which we could use, I think I'm going to try and do most of it in the big lake. But we do have this lake here too if we need to have a little bit more water-based stuff. But the reason for the big lake is because we need to have a place to put in, let's actually go over here, to put in the water life collector, this one, to put one or more of these underneath in the water, and then build a base over top where we can grab these things with the automation system. Now, the logistics system can grab them anytime, but we want to be able to grab these things with the automation system, and then any surplus, especially A's that we get out of this, drink. Any surplus things that we get out of this will go to the auto destruction thing over here. Well, we'll have a different one, but one of these, and they'll be automatically demanded by this at a low priority. And once we have surplus of those, I'll just come here and press the button every so often. It'd be nice to have some sort of a signal to say, hey, Wally, this is full. Maybe we'll get that later, maybe we won't. So that's the sort of the first half of what I wanted to cover in this first episode. We've gotten through 10 minutes, so I may do a little bit more than 2 halves, but I just wanted to talk about kind of the idea of the autocrafter, what types of things we're going to be making in it, what types of things we're not going to be making in it, and for what reasons, and then kind kind of talking about a little bit of the design. So things that need water-based sources, the bacteria that needs algae and water, and then obviously the things that use bacteria to make will be somewhere near the water. Maybe not directly over it. We'll have to see how we want to make this work exactly. I have not planned this out ahead of time. I did a little bit of experimentation, which I'm going to repeat here shortly, which is part 2. But I have not planned this out entirely. So I want this to be a little bit of a dynamic thing. So by all means, if you have input, feel free to provide that input. But we're going to kind of do kind of fly by the seat of our pants a little bit on it. And then we're just going to continue making all these things. Things like, by the way, pulsar quartz can be made in the same place as things like osmium rods, uranium rods, iridium rods, and even for that matter, the super alloy rods can be made there too, or in a slightly different spot. Because they have the same ingredients, so we could have a few autocrafters in the same area that are collecting, they're crafting the items that are used in both this and the rods, for example. So we're going to kind of do a little bit of that too. Now, some of those things are used in other places. Fusion energy cells, for example, but I don't know that we're going to autocraft fusion energy cells, because unless I misunderstood how they worked, which we could verify by going out to one of the racks and checking, we only need a few of these and then we're done with them. I think it's 6 of them, or 7, something, of all the wrecks that we found around the world, that have the reactors in them, the fusion reactors in them. We'll put those in, and then, which is already in, and then unless we need more to reopen those doors for some reason, we don't need to keep recrafting these. So I don't see the point in having an autocrafter making fusion energy cells, unless, of course, there's a reason for it that I don't know about yet, or is added later in the game. But then at that point, we can make a new part of the base to make these, another cell. We don't need a whole part. Another habitation module. Fertilizer is going to need to have access to the water, but also it's going to need to have access to an eggplant farm. And then tier 2 is going to also need a squash farm, but it also needs to have access to methane gas extractors. So things like that will have to maybe fly in with the well, that's weird, with the logistics system, the methane cartridges that is, and demand them with a box, and then have that box be in range of the fertilizer crafting, for example. So let's go back outside and let's go out to the big lake. I'm going to grab another piece of food just so that we have enough so to come back. We're going to go out here to the big lake, and we're going to start. I want to show you some of the experimentation that I have done off camera, just to be prepared for this on camera work. So out here in the middle of the big lake, no place in particular. Yet, at least, we want to put up one of these foundations, and this is sticking out of the water by a little bit. The next tick down, if I can get it to work properly, is over here. Come over here. Is, I think, right here. Nope, they're both sticking out of the water. This is the tough part. Is there's not. I mean, there is a grid in the game, but maybe there. Yeah. So. That's the difference in the like the grid positioning of these, the height positioning of these, and I've got it off by 1 meter or whatever here too. But you either are a little bit out of the water or a little bit in the water. And I did some experimentation with this, and I want to show you what I've done. Let's just put a few of these. I did the wrong button. I had held the wrong button. Control click to place multiples. I also drank a little bit of water there, because you will do that if you're placing these in the underwater position. I want to put in a living compartment rather here. Called it a habitation module earlier. And it's not perfectly centered, it doesn't really matter. The point here is, though, that I want to show you some results of some experiments that I've done. If you put this like this, where the water is up just short of that, who's coming? Ooh, it's a pulsar quartz. I may try and snag that. If you do that, then you're gonna like crash land on me. We're gonna have to pick those up. if you do that, then the game thinks there's water inside of the base, inside of the living compartment. And so because it thinks, wait, didn't I have a cobalt? I thought I had a cobalt on me. Are you done yet? Let's go underwater. Not any quieter. Not any quieter. Oh, it's going to crash away over there. Okay. We'll go over there and pick that up in a little while. If you put down a indoor ladder, it will not let you place it because it thinks that there's water here and you can't place these in water. So if you're going to try and build down to the water level, you actually have to build up 1 meter, which I'm going to build in this direction, actually. Do the same kind of foundation, just so you kind of see what I'm talking about. If I can get it to snap. Sometimes snapping is a little bit rough. And then one of these. And then a door. Ran out of stuff. Yeah, that's fine. This is now out of the water, you can see, and it's much happier in terms of that and the fact that you can now place the ladder. And the reason that I'm doing all this is because of what I'm going to get to next, actually. Let's deconstruct that. No, let's not deconstruct that. Let's add one more on here. And then I want to put up the dome, the aquarium dome. There we go. It was suggested by Glass Deviant that these look really cool if you put them in the water. And they do. But at this level, the water is just the outside water is just a bit below the inside. The water on the inside. You can see inside that the water is the water is right up to this level here, just about, basically right below these catwalks. But compared to the outside, it's about off. It's off by about that 1 meter difference, or that 1 tick difference. So let's deconstruct this here, and I want to go back to this over here. This is a extended tutorial on building things, I guess. And yes, you could snap that there, but then it's floating above, I think. Actually, it's not. Actually, that might be... No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work because... I'll show you. If you put this here to where it's the water level's back up to that level, and then we do a one of these. You have to do a second one, otherwise it won't let you build the aquarium. Oh no, it will let you build the aquarium. What is the difference? Oh, I had it far enough out. Good. There's also a minimum distance between the foundations and the aquarium. Since this puts it down now below the water level, it puts the water level inside and outside of the aquarium at just about the same height, which is kind of an interesting way to build this. All right, why are you being weird? There we go. I wish I could see it a little bit better, but you can see kind of that the water level inside, oh, there we can see it, and the water level outside are almost even, which is kind of, like I said, a cool way to build this. So I think that's what I'd like to do. The problem is then you get, well, you either get that, which I'm not that thrilled about, or you end up with, we end up with that anyways, but you end up with the, with not being able to build anything in here. So I was trying to come up with a way to make these to be completely connected interior-wise to the rest of the base that we're going to end up building. And you just can't do it unless you want this. And if you do this, then you can't build a ladder to get up out of this level and onto the level that's going to be more even with, say, the ground over there, or some sky base that you might want to build. So we're going to do, instead, we're going to do these being a separate portion from the base, so that we don't have the aquariums connected to the base. And that's sort of the experimentation that I had been doing off camera. There we go, there we go. Good. Yeah. I don't know what happened to my other cobalt. I had one at one point. And as part of all this rebuild, we're going to do a rebuild of all of these algae farms here. We're going to move them around a little bit. They're going to be nearby, but they might not be in this exact spot. But the biggest issue that I have with the rebuild is the trees. Unfortunately, I put these tree spawners right in this area. So they've created these trees here on the coast. And there's not really a whole lot of land to build upon here. So I think what I'm going to be doing is building up more so than out. Which I think is fine. Because, you know, we have plenty of vertical space too. I don't know what the limit is, but we have plenty. And so we'll end up with the base being largely over top of the lake, but maybe a little bit over top of, you know, this point out here, but then we have other trees coming in here and stuff like that. So I'm going to end up with, you know, mostly over the lake. And that's why I'm saying I'm going to do everything over this lake, because trying to connect to that lake over there is not really going to be feasible. But I think we could probably pull off some other kind of, you know, some kind of shenanigans if we wanted to, you know, connect over here to where the old base is for some reason. I don't know that we need to. I'm just you know, spitballing and throwing ideas out here a little bit. So I think what we want to do is start the rebuild, and I want to start it with the rebuild of the water-related stuff. Now those aquariums, we're only going to do 2 or maybe 3 of them, and so I'll probably do them on the far edge of the water over there. You know what I need to do, though? I need to go empty out some of this stuff in my inventory and go pick up that pulsar quartz. And I don't think you guys probably want to watch that pulsar quartz pickup, so I'm just going to go and pause the recording, go and do it, and then we'll come back in a little bit, and we'll continue the rest of this. Be right back. And welcome back. Well, it was a lot of drama for 7 pulsar quartz, so I'm not sure that it was worth it, but I did it anyway. And I have a bunch of crap over here that I need to also either get rid of or something of. But I have all the stuff we had, although I'm not sure that I need all of it right now. But we can go from there. I do have some food. I'm going to need that pretty soon. So what we want to do is start building a platform of the foundation pieces to get ourselves out to the lake, middle of the lake, where we want to have, or start in the middle of the lake for that matter, and just kind of establish the basis for how we want to have all of this work. And so let's find a spot to say this is where we're starting from, arbitrarily, maybe further over here to put those on the far end, kind of thing. And then just kind of pick our spot right there. Nope, that's too high. Gotta start somewhere. There? Nope, same height. Alright, Wally. Perfect. Okay, that's where we're starting from. And the rest of it kind of doesn't matter because we're not trying to align to the existing base or anything. We're just trying to make this our own. And what we want to do is we want to establish the, you know, this as a foundation basis, except that I need to hold down control to build multiples. Thank you. And then we want to just put down a couple of those aquariums eventually. Right now we're just going to put down one. And aquarium. There it is. And we want to make sure we put the aquarium in the right spot, at the right height, at the right whatever else. I want to try and get it as close as I can, I think, to the foundation. I think that's the spot. I think that's the spot. That's the spot. And then I also want to think about if this matters or not. I'm not sure if it does. How this works with the door. And it does work with the door. Can I put in another one of these, or have I messed myself up here? I can. Okay, good. And you end up stepping down a little bit into the aquarium, but it works out actually stepping up and stepping down. That doesn't work as well as I hoped it would. Because you end up with... I wonder if I'm actually supposed to be down one after all. If I'm supposed to be down... No, it shouldn't be there. That's it, really? That's the grid I have? Yeah, I don't want the underwater ones. I definitely want the above water ones. Who's coming in now? Randoms. Okay. We need to eat, by the way. We need to drink, too. So I guess this is right. Maybe I just needed a little bit more space there. Let's try with a little bit more space. I think that's just random ores that we definitely don't need anymore. And you can go in. Can I figure out the right spot for this? That's a good question. So that's where I had it before. That's as close as it can be. If I skipped it out by one more, does that help any as far as the as far as this goes? Yeah, that actually does help by going additional 1 meter out. That helps greatly here. I can walk without stepping. Actually, no, you can't. Huh. Interesting that it would let me do it there for a minute, but we can jump a little bit to get in and out. And I think that's fine. And so the other piece that I want to try and work on today before we get started... Jeez, oh, Pete, look at all these larvae appearing here. That's insane. They never appear like that. Is the ladders, the way the ladders worked. We had this problem with the other bit of the base, and it's not the... I don't think it's the way the ladders work this way. I think it's the way the ladders work this way. Yeah, they snap to the center. You can see the lock there. They snap to the center. So I want to keep that in mind too as we work our way up to, you know, the later bit of the base. I want to make sure that I center the doors of those parts of the base into on the center of the foundations. Is that right, or is that one? That was right before. Okay. And so we'll do that kind of like... But I don't think I want it up like this. I think I want it down in. These are the tough questions, you know? Because we can build it... We can build it like this, as far as height goes. And then we can build it like... Who are you conflicting with? The bugs on the ground? Well, that's annoying. How about if we come over here then? Not over there. Over here. Then. Or we can do it like this. The issue is we need more titanium. Is there any titanium brains down here that I can just grab? There's all the pieces that fell from the sky. There's the titanium. Need 2 of them though. Okay. The issue with this is how does the door connect? Now we need another silicon too. Alright, Wally. And then with all this, I'm actually going to end up with too much stuff if I try to deconstruct it all. But we're not going to try to deconstruct it all. So that's fine. You go there. And so I think I'd rather have it be this way. It ends up fitting... Some more design considerations, I guess. It ends up fitting kind of perfectly sitting on top of that. Whereas this one it's kind of embedded in. And so I think that's better to have that up a bit. And it also gives us the nice transition from this setup to that setup. And so, is there any other thing that I can do here for this? I could possibly do one other thing. And that would be to have a living compartment here, but I don't really think it's necessary to put a living compartment on the outside of these. I don't think there's really a whole lot of point in it, so I don't think we will. But I want to check here just to make sure we've got the room. So I think what we'll do is this will be the rightmost one, and we'll just put 2 of them next to it like this. I don't have the materials to build them right now, but we'll do that later. Okay, so, but this isn't where I want a compartment. Let's see. And you're probably not quite where I want the rightmost one. I probably want to move it over this way a bit, too. How wide are these? Let's see. That's just a bit past the edge here. 1, 2, like 2.5 foundations times 2, so 5 foundations. That could be okay. In that if this was shifted over to the middle, which is right about here, then this would be shifted over almost to the edge right there. So I think what I want to do is duplicate this some more till we run out of iron, probably. And then just pick one of these that'll be the center. And then go from there. That's the end. That's all the iron I've got. So if I had the edges, this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be those ones. So this would be the center. Actually, let me take a couple of these back, just so I can use them to mark. One, 2, 3, right here. This will be where the stairway comes down from, or we exit out of this this living compartment that I don't have enough iron for to build in. So I think that'll work out okay. But I think we're gonna ramp this. We're gonna step this up into a living compartment that's higher up, because then you end up with a with being able to put the other things underneath, and that's what I'd like to have. So I'm going to go back to the base and just pick up a bunch of iron since I have a box full of it, and then we'll come back out here and we'll do just a little bit more of this kind of design work, these kind of thoughts, and that'll also give you all a chance to reply and to give me any feedback or comments or suggestions you might have on this design before we actually work on it in the next episode. But I'll be right back with some more iron so we can do a little bit more layout and connectivity stuff. And welcome back. So I want to grab some more stuff, but I also had another design consideration that I forgot to mention earlier. Let's put a couple more of these down. Just kind of step away from this a little bit. Well, a couple of different things. One would be maybe we don't put these in a row, but maybe we put them like in like a T pattern. That would simplify this a little bit, I guess, and make it a little bit cleaner too. I think that's better. But another thing that I didn't think about didn't remember until just now is also the big living compartments. These are 2x2 as opposed to 1x1 living compartments, and I do want to incorporate these as part of our design, our build, because I want most of our crafting to be done in these, since they have a much better capacity for putting stuff in rather than 4 connected small ones, which we've tried before. And that's largely because of the fact that they don't have the walls, the connectors that we had to deal with in the old base, because we didn't get these until too late, really. So I want to definitely use some of these as well, but I want to think about that. If I connect a door there, do I want to have these in even numbers or odd numbers? Do I want to have hallways and connectors and things like that? How do I want all this to kind of work together? And what I think I want to do is I want to base this on an odd number layout. So what it'll end up with is, say, one of these, and then maybe down the middle, a hallway made of the single living compartments. So like this. And then I don't have enough stuff for another one. But you get the idea. I do have enough stuff for another one. There we go. I forgot the control key. Have a hallway of these with these on either side. And then on the outsides, have more of these. There, with windows, which I do have enough stuff for one window, just to show you. And have windows on the outsides of everything. So we have, exterior views. And even, I don't have enough stuff for this one, but even using the corner window pieces, which I can demonstrate here. Good. turned it the right way in the corners so that we can have those open as well, and not actually have corners, but have rounded corners. Not short corners, but rounded corners. And then so have a line of single compartments on the outside so that we can use the rounded corners, or put the windows directly in these and only have the rounded corners. Where's it at? There it is. Oh, you aren't going to delete that window now? Well, okay. Means I need another cobalt. Let's get one from the ground. Should be plenty around here someplace. There's one. And basically to have only the singles on the front edge. That's not the right direction. There we go. And then that way we can still put the rounded corners in. So I guess let me know your thoughts on that as well. If I should have the singles just down the middle and then along the front and back edges, or if I should have them around all four edges to better connect everything together. And also I want to make sure all of the roofs, the ceilings are going the same direction too when we do the build. So those are kind of my design considerations. I don't know how much of it is what you're expecting, or what you think will work out. I deconstructed myself in it, which I didn't think you were actually able to do. I guess you are. Can I please get out of the water? Thank you. So we're gonna give that some thought. Down here at this level, I think my plan will be to not have compartments at the water level and instead have them be one foundation height up, or one building height, which is 2 foundation heights, I think. Or is it? No, I think it's just 1. There. And one of these here. It's not the same. It's not the same, so I won't be able to connect them together the same. That's kind of a weird bummer. That those aren't the same height. I guess that's why maybe you bury the foundation into it like this. Alright, get out of the water. I had my jetpack on. But then you still don't have the same thing because they're not the same height. Like if you wanted to build another one of these on top. You end up with a weird grid pattern anyway. Because they're not the same. Because they're not the same. And then I went too close and I won't let me build one here. But you get the idea. That these are however many meters tall and these are 2 meters more or whatever. Or 2 units more, whatever the height is. So maybe we won't have anything built on this height at all. Maybe we'll just have the ladder taking us from this height up to that height, hopefully. Does that work, please? Yes, it does. Okay, so that does work. Maybe we'll just do that and then we'll start our build at this height instead, and that gives us the ability to put things like the water collectors and the algae farms and things underneath it so that we can pull those up into our automation systems. So let me know your thoughts on this. This is kind of an introductory episode to this build, talking about ideas and limitations and restrictions and things like that. And then we'll start working on this in the next episode, and we'll come up with a design that I think will give us everything we need automated, all of our logistics well taken care of, and all the components of everything working properly. So thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all again next time. Bye for now.